Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has said that it is too early to comment on the impact of these tariffs on Indian markets or Indian economy. The Finance Minister said that the Commerce Ministry is reviewing the situation and they will be informing the people after this review is done. The Finance Minister also said that preparations are on for the next round of negotiations, but she has also said that she's not sure when delegation will head to the US. So these are the things that the Finance Minister has told in her press conference. Remember, there was a delegation that was set to depart for US for further talks as far as an interim draft was concerned, but that was put on hold. That was supposed to happen this month only, but that has been put on hold, and that sort of raised the question as to what's going to happen to the trade deal and also the impact on the Indian economy. So clearly, it has been said by Nirmala Sitharaman that it is too early to comment on it. Let's listen to what she said.
On the Indian economy, I think it's a bit too soon for me to comment. But on the trade particularly, aside from the Indian economy in general, the Commerce Ministry is reviewing the situation. The delegation will have to take a call on when they're going to go for further negotiations. So it's a bit too early for me to comment.
And joining us on the phone line is India Today's Aishwarya Paliwal. Aishwarya, although the delegation was set to depart and it was deferred, but clearly the Indian government right now is being cautious about what they say.
Well, definitely, Anjali, one thing that the government is very keenly looking at is what will the US President Donald Trump do next, because let me tell you what's happening. Come Friday evening, we see one kind of statement coming in because of which we see the tariffs that are being levied being at a certain rate. And then come Monday, we see a change in stance with regards to what the US President has been saying. So this delegation that was supposed to go, because what we are now looking at, the broader contours of the deal that is about to happen between India and the US, that also is now fluctuating. And that's the simple reason why we just heard Nirmala Sitharaman, the Finance Minister, clearly saying that at the moment the ministry is in talks with people in the US, but yes, they cannot firmly say when will the talks go ahead or when will we see the final deal happening, because we are seeing a lot of flip-flops, a lot of seesaw kind of a situation coming in from the United States of America. Anjali.
Right. Thank you, Aishwarya, for all those details. And we have news coming in from Uttar Pradesh. It seems a namaz row has erupted in the Lucknow University. It seems pro and anti-namaz groups are facing off within the university as there is high drama over namaz inside the university mosque. Remember, there is a 200-year-old mosque which is inside the university, and some students are insisting on offering namaz within that mosque, and there are some students that are opposing it. So there was a showdown because of this over namaz at the university
तो एक और
mosque.
विश्वविद्यालय में नमाज को लेकर प्रदर्शन, तो दूसरी तरफ जय श्री राम के लखनऊ यूनिवर्सिटी के छात्र एक बार फिर आज नमाज को लेकर प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं। 12 दरी का मामला, और यहाँ तमाम संख्या में जो छात्र हैं वो लखनऊ यूनिवर्सिटी से इधर के उधर मार्च कर रहे हैं और लगातार जो है वो नारेबाजी कर मामले को उठाते नजर आ रहे हैं। क्या मामला है, आप लोग क्यों प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं?
लखनऊ विश्वविद्यालय की पुरानी धरोहर है जो 200 वर्ष पुरानी है, वो जो एएसआई के अंडर आती है, विश्वविद्यालय प्रशासन अपने घर की जागीर समझ रहा है। बिना एएसआई की नोटिस के उस पर किस तरीके का बुलडोजर चलाया गया और उस गेट को एकदम सीज कर दिया गया है। मुस्लिम भाई हमारे यहाँ के नमाज पढ़ते थे।
विश्वविद्यालय तो कह रहा कि हमारी है, वो
देखिए एएसआई के अंडर में आती है। जितनी पुरानी लाल धरोहर है, जितनी भी पुरानी इमारतें हैं, वो सब एएसआई के अंडर में आती है। ये रिपोर्ट भी है, लेकिन एएसआई की कोई रिपोर्ट इस पे नहीं आई है कि इस पे कंस्ट्रक्शन किया जाए।
तो आप लोग अभी क्या चाह रहे हैं, क्या करना चाह रहे हैं?
हम लोगों की मांग यही है, जो ताला लगा है ताला खोला जाए, नहीं तो बराबर हम लोगों का संघर्ष चलता रहेगा।
वो तो कह रहे हैं कि अभी वो निर्माणाधीन अवस्था में है या कुल मिलाकर जर्जर है।
जर्जर है तो विश्वविद्यालय प्रशासन ने कोई नोटिस जारी की? कल सुबह हमारे मुस्लिम भाई 6 बजे नमाज पढ़ के गए और 12 बजे जब जुमे की नमाज पढ़ने आए तो पूरी तरीके से उसको सील कर दिया गया है। ये नफरती मानसिकता के लोग लखनऊ विश्वविद्यालय समाप्त करना चाहते हैं। ये हम कतई बर्दाश्त नहीं करेंगे।
आप तस्वीरें देख सकते हैं कि किस तरीके से ये लोग बैरिकेड, जहाँ पर बैरिकेड लगाए गए हैं वहाँ पर ये छात्र भारी संख्या में एक बार फिर से पहुँच चुके हैं। भारी संख्या में उसी स्थान पर तस्वीरें आपको हम दिखा रहे हैं कि कैसे यहाँ पर बैरिकेड जो है किया जा रहा है। यहाँ पर बैरिकेड लगा है और पीछे देखिए पुलिस फोर्स किस तरीके से यहाँ पर पुलिस फोर्स पहुंच गई है और पूरी तरीके से इस पूरे एरिया को बैरिकेड कर दिया गया है। और बैरिकेड
हम लोगों को गुमराह किया
तोड़ने के लिए भारी संख्या में यहाँ पर जो छात्र हैं वो पहुंच गए हैं। इधर पुलिस के कर्मी खड़े हो चुके हैं, पूरा बैरिकेड लग चुका है। किस तरीके की गहमा गहमी इस वक्त यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ लखनऊ में देखने को मिल रही है। छात्रों का धरना शुरू हो चुका है। छात्रों का धरना बकायदा बैठ गए हैं। कैमरामैन ये तस्वीरें दिखा रहे हैं। क्या तस्वीरें, क्या चाहते हैं आप लोग?
देखिए, जिस तरीके से विश्वविद्यालय प्रशासन द्वारा ये तुगलकी फरमान आया है कि इसको एकदम से बंद कर दिया गया है। सिर्फ यही बिल्डिंग क्षतिग्रस्त नहीं है, और भी विश्वविद्यालय में बिल्डिंगें क्षतिग्रस्त है जिन पर कार्रवाई नहीं की जा रही है।
देखिए, हमारी मांग है जो मस्जिद का गेट बंद कर दिया गया है। ये पाक का महीना चल रहा है, रमजान का महीना चल रहा है, मुस्लिम भाइयों को नमाज पढ़ने दिया जाए। हम लोग शांतिपूर्ण बैठे हैं क्योंकि विश्वविद्यालय प्रशासन लगातार लड़ा रहा है, उन्मादी माहौल फैलाना चाह रहा है। हम हिंदू मुस्लिम भाई एक साथ थे, एक साथ है। और मैं एक चीज और बताना चाहूंगा, यहाँ मुस्लिम से ज्यादा हिंदू है, मुस्लिम से ज्यादा हिंदू है और मुस्लिम समाज के साथ कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर खड़ा है।
सील करने के बाद यहाँ पे एक आध कमरा तोड़ करके इन लोगों ने नमाज अदा करने का काम किया। नमाज अदा करने का जब काम किया तब इसकी कल के दिन की घटना है कि कल यहाँ पे प्रशासन ने फेंसिंग लगाई क्योंकि 4-5 दिन पहले कुत्ते की मलबा गिरने से मौत हो गई थी।
यही बारादरी में,
इसके पीछे आप देख रहे हैं कि आप ये बंद कर दिया गया ना, इसके नीचे बंद कर दिया गया ये। और यहाँ पे कुछ और भी अनैतिक काम हो रहा है। छात्रों की सुरक्षा की दृष्टि से अगर इसको सील किया गया है, चीजें करी गई हैं, तो आप सड़कों पे उतर करके आप नमाज पढ़ेंगे, आप यहाँ पे इफ्तार करेंगे।
And let's cut across to breaking news coming in from Tamil Nadu. After the special intensive revision exercise of the electoral rolls, the final electoral roll has been published. And according to this, 5.67 crore voters have been established in the state, which is set to go to polls very soon. So it is finally out. Around 70 lakh voters, it seems, have been ousted from this final list that has been published. 5.67 crore total voters in this electoral roll. Joining us right now is India Today's Apurva. Apurva, tell us what are the important things that are jumping out of the publication which you are noticing?
Well, in fact, what we are getting to learn is that there are over, the numbers that have been given for each and every constituency has been significantly increased. In fact, what we are getting to learn is that of the constituencies, 234 constituencies in across Tamil Nadu, what the chief election official has in fact told us is that the highest constituency with the most number of voters is Sholinganallur constituency, here right on the outskirts of Chennai city, with over 5,36,991 voters, whereas the lowest voters in across Tamil Nadu is in fact in Chennai's own Harbour constituency, where the total number of voters are around 1,16,896 voters. That's what we are also getting to learn. In fact, the CEO has also mentioned that there were over 70 lakh deletions that has taken place since the last time this exercise had been carried out. A lot of new findings that have come out from the SIR here. In fact, what we are getting to learn from, the CEO here is that roughly over 5 crore 67 lakh 7,380 voters have been registered who will be going to vote in this upcoming Tamil Nadu 2026 elections. This is a huge number of voters here, and these voters ultimately, those who do have claims or other theories as well, they are also welcome to go ahead and look in for suggestions or write to the CEO or any of their district election officers directly if there is any discrepancies in the voter list, had their names not been added or anything else as such.
Right. Right. Thank you, Apurva, for all those details. So the final list has been published in Tamil Nadu as far as the voters are concerned. And now let's go across to Sakshi Batra of Business Today, who joins us with all the updates of the market. Sakshi, over to you.
Look, this investment guru's tips will double your money. Just claim the offer.
Double your money from any random group. Pay attention. Promising double returns, they'll lure you in tight. Unverified groups will send fake tips overnight, emptying your pockets before you can fight. Visit! SEBI and NSE advise, consult only SEBI registered advisors and make payments only to verified accounts or UPI IDs. An investor awareness initiative by SEBI and NSE.
Presented by National Stock Exchange.
Good afternoon, you're watching the Business Today show, the market closing action. I am Sakshi Batra, and here we are going to be getting you all the closing action on the Lal Street. First up, let's take a look at what's hot in the corporate and the financial world. Markets trade higher after the US Supreme Court struck down import levies imposed by President Donald Trump, even as he raised a temporary tariff to 15%. The Sensex has managed to climb by 500 points, nearing 83,300 mark, while the Nifty has gained about 150 points to trade around 25,700, led by autos, PSU banks and FMCG stocks. IDFC First Bank shares fall up to 16%, with market capitalization now down by 14,438 crore rupees following disclosure of a 590 crore rupees fraud at its Chandigarh branch. Separately, AU Small Finance Bank also is down by 8% after de-empanelment for government businesses in Haryana. IT stocks remain under pressure as AI disruption fears intensify. The Nifty IT index slips by 1.5%. Jefferies also downgrades 6 major stocks: Infosys, TCS, HCLTech, Infosys, LTI Mindtree and Hexaware. Also cutting price targets by up to 33% for these stocks, warning AI could reshape the sector's business model. Hindustan Aeronautics shares slide up to 4% after reports suggest that Indian Air Force grounded part of its Tejas fleet following a technical issue. HAL has clarified there was no crash, describing it as a minor ground-level technical incident. Bullion rallies on tariff jitters, tracking global gains. MCX gold climbs 3,200 rupees to 1.6 lakh rupees per 10 grams. Silver up 15,000 rupees to 2.68 lakh a kilo. FM Nirmala Sitharaman also says India relies on imported gold and prices are being closely watched, but not at alarming levels. Straight away looking at the big breaking news that's just coming in. The first RBI reaction on IDFC First Bank is in, viewers. The Reserve Bank of India governor has spoken on the 590 crore rupees fraud that has been discovered at IDFC First Bank. Reserve Bank of India has said no systemic issue in IDFC First Bank yet. RBI has also said it is watching all the developments very closely. The fraud has been discovered at IDFC First Bank's Chandigarh branch, even though the management of IDFC First Bank has been constantly saying that this is limited to that particular branch. They've also indicated that all the investors, depositors, retail participants, as well as the corporate, accounts are not very are completely safe from this fraud. This was only limited to a certain account as well. We also have the RBI governor saying the first reaction on IDFC First Bank. Let's listen into what he had to say.
We do not, as a policy, we do not comment on any individual bank or regulated entity. We are watching the developments. There is no systemic kind of an issue over here.
Not just that, we also have the finance minister talking about the India-US trade deal and a stalemate on that front. Finance minister has also talked about the economic impact. She's also mentioned that it is too early to assess that impact at this point in time. Finance minister has also said that Commerce Ministry is reviewing the situation very closely. The trade delegation is going to be taking a call on the US visit also. Let's listen into what Finance Minister had to say.
On the Indian economy, I think it's a bit too soon for me to comment. But on the trade particularly, aside from the Indian economy in general, the Commerce Ministry is reviewing the situation. The delegation will have to take a call on when they're going to go for further negotiations. So it's a bit too early for me to comment.
The finance minister has also addressed some concerns around the foreign direct investment flows into India. She's also cited the Economist survey and said that India's macro fundamentals continue to remain strong, with a stable government, a clear taxation and a law-abiding economic framework. However, she's definitely noted that global fund flows have been influenced more by geopolitical tensions than by India-specific factors. Let's listen into what she had to say when it comes to the slowing down of the FDI flows into India.
The economic survey has also very clearly pointed out and raised this very important question, which comes from a curious mind, as I would say. All the fundamentals are fine. The indicators are very clearly indicating that next couple of years we will be going at that kind of a level. Stable government, taxation policy, everyone says that there's been absolute certainty. So you would expect the funds to flow towards such economies like India, on the top to India, but it doesn't come. It doesn't flow in that sense.
Let me go across to Surbhi now, our economy editor for Business Today, as she's going to be sharing with us what clearly is the assessment of the FDI inflows to India. What we're given to understand, Surbhi, is that last consecutive 4 months have seen a net negative inflow when it comes to the FDI flows to India. Are these concerns getting more grave?
Hello Sakshi. So yes, net FDI inflows have been a concern and they've been negative as per RBI data for about 4 months. It was an issue last year as well. But what policymakers and analysts also tell us is that we need to look at the gross FDI inflows. This is what Sanjay Malhotra, RBI governor, said again today, and he pointed out that it's been rising. Last year it rose by 14 to 15% on a gross basis, and he pointed out that it's the repatriations, outflows of FDIs which is going out, which has led to a net negative in terms of FDIs. So, but even as the finance minister said that the fundamentals of the economy remain strong. So, it would be a matter of time when, FDI is on a net basis also starts coming back.
Absolutely. Stay back. While we also heard you talk to Finance Minister, especially when it comes to the rising gold and silver prices. And Finance Minister has also spoken to Business Today television and indicated that the surge in gold and silver prices is largely due to India being heavily import dependent when it comes to gold, and prices are being closely monitored, although she's also indicated it's not at alarming levels. Let's listen in to what Finance Minister had to say.
all gold which comes for the market is imported. In this country, the dependence on precious metals is very much from outside only. In the sense, we get every ounce of gold which comes into the country is an imported ground, and we don't have our own source of exploring and extracting gold. There are steps being taken, but yet not sufficient to meet our demand. Gold has always been favored investment for households, whether as an asset class or for jewelry. We are watching it, but I'm not sure it has reached such alarming proportions given the tendency or natural things as it is in India for investing in gold, buying gold, and therefore I think it has not gone in that sense beyond a certain limit. But of course RBI will also be monitoring it. Other than that, other than typically what's happening in the Indian market, it's also important, and I'm sure you from the media would have noticed, that most countries today, particularly their central banks, are buying gold and silver and storing.
Absolutely, and let's quickly look at how the markets are trading. We're just about 12 minutes away from the market's close today, so we'll briefly pay attention and discuss all of these factors with our guest joining in shortly. 25,715, you're 144 points higher in trade. So slowly after being in a choppy range-bound trade through the session, we are seeing some pickup happen. Continues to be the gainers are, the PSU banking index that is continuing to be the top mover, over 1% higher. Financial services are higher. You're looking at autos, FMCG as some of the other sectors that are moving up in tandem. Looking at even private banks that are up and about. Even the small cap stocks are up in trade. But what's dragging? IT stocks continue to be under pressure. The mid cap stocks real under pressure. Real estate and metals are also losing some bit of shine at this point in time. But let's welcome our guest on board. Sharmila Joshi, market expert, is now with us. Sharmila, before I ask you your comment on the markets, we've been focusing on a lot of the macro discussion as far as what's happening with the US trade, and of course, what's happening as a repercussion to the foreign direct investments into India, and of course, what's happening to the other asset classes like gold and silver on the back of such uncertainties that continue to grapple us. So, of course, there's been a topsy-turvy kind of a move over the weekend as far as the US trade tariffs are concerned. We were at 18%. Then the US Supreme Court quashes all kind of tariffs, deeming them as illegal. Then Donald Trump again talks about raising the base 10% tariffs to 15%. That's lower than 18% for us, and therefore we did see some move in the morning trading session across the board in export-oriented sectors, but IT stocks continue to fall under pressure because of AI fears. How are you maneuvering all of these, news flows at this point in time?
Yes, I think you outlined that really well. It's kind of ironic that, for the longest time we were waiting for some resolution to this entire tariff and trade deal thing, and just when we had this development that we had agreed on this 18%, we had the airport taking a decision. And as you said, that has added to the uncertainty now, because, as that famous line in the movie goes, ki picture abhi baki hai, because we don't know how the president is going to react. We've already seen how he's sort of going to react and what further steps they would take. So it has sort of put uncertainty back in the picture for us. Just when we were sort of in the mood that yes, this is what it's going to be and this is what we have to deal with. While on the positive side, we can, definitely think that this will go away at some point in the future and things will return to status quo. We don't know as of now how things will really pan out. But that said, I think the mood, as you said, and markets seem to show that, is overall a little positive, because 15% is still lower than the 18% that we were looking at. But yes, I think, that AI piece will continue to play out. So I think, we go back to basics sort of, and you continue to look at stocks that you liked, where the numbers have been good, where you think business will be good going, where they have something, going for them, which will sort of ride through all the sort of difficulties that we are likely to face over the next 2 or 3 months. So I think maybe don't be too to buy into IT. But yes, I think, definitely you could start looking at a lot of other mid caps and large caps where the valuations are reasonable. I think we have discussed a lot of these stocks, whether it's from the FMCG space, whether it is metals, whether it is banking. So I think there is a whole universe of stocks there that you can look at, and I think that's what market is doing. And I think we'll continue to do as these sort of things play out over the next couple of months.
Absolutely. Since we've been also discussing IT stocks, when it comes to the AI fears that are rising, it's the Indian states that are now jumping onto the AI bandwagon. We're talking about Uttar Pradesh now. With IBM, the company, the state is now inaugurating AI GovTech Innovation Center in Lucknow. The center, which currently employs 200 people, will now focus on solutions to improve productivity, accountability, transparency, and service delivery in government operations. And this is what Arvind Krishna, the chairman and the chief executive officer of IBM, had to say to Kumar Abhishek of the India Today group. Let's listen in.
UP is a very important state and it has a lot of talent, but it has not been able to tap into the deep tech ecosystem that is building up in India. We believe that by building a center here, it is mutually beneficial. We can tap into the talent that is from UP, but then UP benefits from the explosion that our talent will bring into the city and into the state.
क्या ये उत्तर प्रदेश या देश का पहला ऐसा सेंटर है, फर्स्ट ऑफ इट्स काइंड, और कितना इन्वेस्टमेंट आप उम्मीद करते हैं?
So it is the first of its kind because there is no deep AI tech center yet that has been done by any company or in any state. So the products we are building here on AI are actually being sold all over the world already. Our investment here is going to be, we hope to by sometime in the next year or two get to 2,000 full-time engineering employees here. And I believe that impact in the community is probably about 20,000 people worth of employment.
Sharmila, coming to you, and I wanted to discuss this entire AI theme. Of course, you've marked out for our viewers that don't be in a hurry to jump into IT stocks just as yet. There could be some more, pain that is to be had there. But when it comes to the AI space, we've seen the last entire week go past discussing and decoding what happened at the India AI Impact Summit at Bharat Mandapam. So many conversations, global heads, policy makers, all huddled together to ensure that India is seen as a participant and also among the leading countries when it comes to AI. How should a retail investor be really looking at AI as a theme right now, since all heads are focused on this space?
I think the good thing that the summit has done is that it has definitely made AI a part of your mainstream conversation as far as, whether it is the large IT companies go or whether, as we were just hearing, states go where they would be probably welcoming such players or looking to make such products. Because, definitely I think before this summit happened, one felt that you were behind the curve, and now there seems to be an effort to join the AI bandwagon, and whether it is collaborations or whether it is making products. So in that sense, it's good, but I think that stocks will continue. I mean, if I were to even just talk specifically of what will happen within the IT space in the coming year, you will have to continue to look at numbers and see how much of their basket is really AI focused and what is their commentary on that and how they are really positioning themselves on that vertical, because that will play a big role in their sort of future going ahead, in how their revenue stream is going to look or what are the orders they are going to get, etc. So I think two separate issues. While we are definitely, I think, on a good track as far as the country and our AI positioning goes, I think as far as IT stocks go and that space goes, you need to sort of tread with caution, as I said earlier, because I think you need to really evaluate it, each company at a time and see how they are positioning themselves with AI going forward.
Fantastic. All right, let's actually look forward to another big conglomerate that's betting big on India. It's PepsiCo, which is not just selling chips and cola in India anymore. It's in fact betting big on farmers and even climate resilience. In a conversation with Business Today Television's Karishma Sudani, Jim Andrew, the CSO at PepsiCo, has said that India sits at the heart of the company's long-term strategy. From regenerative agriculture to sourcing 100% of its chip-grade potatoes locally, PepsiCo now works with 27,000 farmers across 14 states. And so this is sustainability or smart long-term business. Here's what he had to say in an excerpt from that conversation. Let's listen in.
You did mention a part where you said marketing is at the helm of discussions, of course, for a company like PepsiCo. Was there a challenge to kind of keep a balance between conveying the message via sustainability while also retaining the identity of the brand?
PepsiCo as a brand is something we actually just relaunched our PepsiCo brand late last year. PepsiCo as a brand is not all that well known. Consumers know and love us through our product brands. So here in India, Pepsi and Kurkure and Lay's, right? I mean, these are brands that people have grown up with. PepsiCo is a brand, some people know and some people don't. What we've tried to do is to say all those brands that you know and love are actually part of a larger company that really cares about the role that we play in society, the role that we play for the communities, for the people we interact with. People don't know this, but PepsiCo is at its heart a huge agricultural organization. We source 50 major crops from 60 major countries. In India alone, we work with 27,000 farmers across 14 states. So, these things are important that we do to be able to have a healthy business, a resilient supply chain, but be able to, again, bring those brands that consumers love and make sure that we still have crops that allow us to create those products.
Very well said, Jim. And since we're getting deeper into understanding India, and you did mention of some important data about your presence, climate volatility is a risk that India is facing actually across the globe. We're not just talking about India as one emerging market, but across the globe it's spread. Tell me, did PepsiCo have to revisit its, say, agri-supply chains or strategies that were already existing with farmers at the fundamental base level in order to adapt?
What we've done is, PepsiCo has always been a very local for local company.
Local for local.
Local for local. Because in terms of sourcing, we source potatoes around the world. And so we work with farmers, here in India, but in other countries. So in here, the Lay's and Uncle chips are 100% locally grown Indian potatoes, right? And so we've always been deep into the communities and the countries where we are because we have those sourcing relationships. And many of those relationships, I was out on a farm earlier this week outside of Ahmedabad, and I met with 10 or 15 farmers, and and one of the farmers brought his father, so the first generation, and also his children. The third generation, and so it was a really special moment for me.
Well, of course, you can watch the entire conversation on our Business Today website, our YouTube channel, and on our social media platforms. But let's get back to the markets and with Sharmila as well. Sharmila, I think one of the biggest stocks that have been in focus today was IDFC First Bank. We also shared some details in our initial headlines for all our viewers. But the stock fell up to 20% intraday, recovered a tad bit, 590 odd crore rupees of a fraud that's got discovered. In an age where a lot of cyber attacks are hitting global firms. It's one of the oldest ways of frauds that we have discovered at IDFC First Bank in this kind of a new age world. But shocking as it has been, what would you say for investors of IDFC First Bank? Of course, there is an immediate knee-jerk reaction at the depositors level. They all would want to pull out their money from the bank, even though the bank has said that it's only limited to a certain branch and a certain account, and rest of them are all comfortable at this point. But what would you say?
Yes, I think two issues really. One is that we need to get clarity, and I think that will happen over this next week. Which the bank has said that this is it's an isolated incident, and it's just with that one branch and one set of employees that did some wrongdoing. Because I think that possibly is easier to sort of accept and figure into your calculations than if it were a systemic risk and there was something wrong with the way they were, their internal checking systems. If they are wrong, then that is, I think, a bigger concern. So I think the first sort of guarantee or surety, or that you need to be satisfied on that this is probably a one-time thing and it is isolated to one branch. And then I was just reading through what the bank also said about this, that they are saying it is 4.9 and they have conservatively added another 1 billion to it and they're saying it's 5.9. Yeah. So you need to see what exactly has gone through, and I hope they're transparent enough to share the details of this fraud as it sort of unfolds. But it's really unfortunate, precisely as you said, that in a day and age when you think that you will have to protect yourself from cyber attacks, that you would use the sort of the oldest trick in the book to do this. But as I said, I think for me, if it is a systemic thing, then that's more of a concern than if it were one isolated incident. And that's what the kind of surety that I would look for before I thought of buying into the stock.
Okay, let's look at the markets closing, viewers. So the Nifty shut shop at 25,713 at this point in time. Of course, PSU banks, financial services, infra stocks, auto and FMCG are these stock indices that have managed to pull up higher. But clearly, IT stocks dragged by over 1%. On the Nifty, you had names like Adani Ports up by about 3% as among the top gainer. You also had Kotak Mahindra Bank 2% higher. Dr. Reddy is also moving up by 2%. You're also looking at HDFC Life and Nestle as among the top movers on the Nifty. But on the dragging end, you saw Hindalco, Infosys, Wipro, Kotak Mahindra, Cipla, Trent, all of these stocks dragging, most of them from the IT pack in today's trading session. And now it's time to take some of your questions with Sharmila at this point. So Ved Sharma from Meerut has sent the first question, something that we were just discussing, Sharmila. He's asking about IT stocks and he says, will IT stocks bounce back or will the fall continue?
And, I think that it's too early to really say whether the fall will continue or whether they will bounce back. But, I do think that now valuations are beginning to look attractive. And we have had some companies which are saying that they are back partnering with the AI names, etc. So there seems to be some strategy developing at their end. So my advice would be to wait it out for this quarter. And when the companies come back to you and they talk about their plans for the coming year, just sort of read through the sort of between the lines and see how much they are looking, how seriously they are taking AI. Because according to me, it's a real threat to the way their existing models are. So how are they responding to it, and what is the kind of focus that they are putting to it. So that will, I think, give us a better sense of which stock to buy. But valuations are certainly, I think, looking much better than they're definitely looking at levels at which you can invest.
Okay. Ashish from Pune asks you, is it still a good time to invest in silver-linked stocks or are the valuations high?
Well, I think silver ETF, that is the way I would go, and I don't think it's a question. I mean, I don't know what stocks per se. Maybe I could be talking of Hindustan Zinc or whatever, but that's not the strategy for me. I think if you want to be in precious metal, then I think you should have an exposure. Gold and silver ETFs is the route that I would choose.
Fantastic. All right, Sharmila, thank you so much for being with us and solving all these queries of our viewers as well. Always a pleasure to have you with us. So viewers, we'll wrap it up on that note on our Business Today closing edition. Do stay tuned for a lot of action that continues. And of course, don't forget to tune in at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning with all the opening action.
shirtless protest by Congress on a global stage.